Oh, that was rough. What is it going to take for the Portland Trail Blazers to win a road game? The last road game they won was before Thanksgiving against the New York Knicks on November 20th. Today is December 12th, so it's almost a full month since the Blazers have won a road game, and now they've had a lot of home games in there, so they've only lost 4 in a row on the road, but I have very little confidence with this team going out and playing on the road right now. You gotta at least try and go 500 on the road if you're going to be a good NBA team, and right now they're not even getting there. So I'm going to jump into what I think went wrong with this Houston Rockets game, and then I'm going to preview tonight's game against the Memphis Grizzlies, which will hopefully break this bad streak on the road. But before I jump into the video, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so. Follow me on Twitter at ToryJonesYT. Follow the channel at TrueBlazerFan. There's a bunch of links down there in the description, you should check them out. So let's jump right into the video. At the start of this game, our starters got us a 15-point lead with great ball movement, great off-ball player movement, but as you know so far this season, a 15-point lead means nothing to the Portland Trail Blazers, as they gave that up before the first quarter even ended. It's basically like when they get up 15 points that early in the game, my feeling is, well, this is fun. I wonder when it's gonna end. And right now, it's ending right when our bench comes into the game because our bench is playing absolutely terrible. Now, Terry Stotts, only a couple games ago, said that he thought the bench was playing good, and this blew my mind. The bench has been awful since that good 6 to 7 game stretch they had earlier in the season. And we started hot, 10-3, and I think that's the team we are if we had a good bench. Obviously, this bench was overachieving to start the season, and now they're about where they should be, which is a poor NBA bench. A lot of that is due to style of play. The second unit was moving the ball very well to start the season, and we were getting a lot of good buckets just based off that movement. We were cutting well, guys were driving the lane because they had straight line drives due to the defense being off balance from ball movement. I challenge you to go watch my recap video where I said our bench is legit, and watch some of the clips from our bench in that recap, and then come back and watch our bench highlights from the Rockets game, even the plays that we scored, and see if you can see a difference, because there definitely is one. Better yet, if you can somehow find full game footage from that Rockets game, watch our bench stretches and compare them to how our bench was playing earlier in the season. I know you'd definitely be able to see the difference if you can't already tell right now. And frankly, it's frustrating. Neil Olshey went out and got 2 shooters, and that was supposed to help open things up, but that second unit still has all the problems that our first unit did in seasons past. Getting shooters was never going to fix that. We were either going to have to get better players that are better at creating their own shot to come off the bench because of how often our offense stagnates and we resort on isolation, or we were going to have to change the way we play. We did change the way we play for the first 10 game stretch of the season, but to me it seems like Stotts has reverted back to what's easiest, which is minimalistic sets. He never fully established the wrinkles he had to sets early on in the season, so now those are gone, and it's frustrating because you'll see flashes here or there, especially from that starting lineup that built that 15-point lead. But from when that bench came in through the rest of the game, even with the starters once they returned, just absolutely stagnant as can be. Now, somebody really paying attention would say, yeah, but they were switching screens. Our second unit is very switchable. You got Evan Turner, Stauskas, and Curry. Point guards through small forwards can do a good job defending them. So that's probably why our offense stagnated, right? They were switching a lot of screens, so the screens weren't effective. But there's ways that you can beat teams that switch defensively. And I've learned these ways from simply playing high school basketball. Yet we don't try to do any of those things, and it blows my mind. Number one thing you can do when the defense is switching screens is to slip it. Usually you'll have one defender on one side of the screen, one defender on the other, but they're expecting a guy to run off the screen. They're not expecting the screener to slip it and flash to an open area. That can cause confusion in the defense and create open opportunities, spark ball movement, maybe both guys overhelp, maybe neither guy comes to guard the guy who slipped the screen. Most of the times, if you slip the screen fast enough, the defense hasn't even been able to communicate yet that they want to switch. The guy cutting off the screen can also reject the screen. Instead of running through the screen, he can take a step towards and then flash to a different area. That might cause confusion in the defense since he didn't actually use the screen. The guy guarding the screener is usually waiting for that cutter on the other side of the screen, so usually he's not in the best position to guard somebody who rejects the screen. You could also have multiple screeners for one guy in one small area and then have the screener screeners screen for each other. If you don't know what a staggered screen is, then go Google it. But it's basically where you have two screeners screening down towards the baseline for a guy on the baseline curling around it. That guy could split the staggered screen. You could have the top of the staggered screen screen for the next guy. A lot of screens in one area creates confusion among a switching defense. That's something we don't do when teams are switching defensively. That's something that could spark productive off-ball player movement, get the defense scrambling, get the defense off balance, and spark some ball movement. There's a couple other ways you can beat teams that are switching defensively, and I could keep talking about this for another 10 minutes, but I don't have the time. It's just frustrating to me that I know all these things, but for some reason, the NBA team that I'm a fan of can't put them into practice. That's mind-boggling to me. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm not the biggest Terry Stotts fan. There's so many different examples as to why. That's another one of them. So their switching defense gave us fits unless we were able to score in isolation with CJ McCollum or Damian Lillard against Clint Capella. But that's one of the reasons why our bench struggled so much. They didn't have a guy like Dame or CJ that could take advantage of a mismatch like that. The bench has to play good team offensive basketball in order to be productive. The other thing that really plagued us was from the second quarter on, we were giving up straight line drives left and right. And that's literally and figuratively. CJ McCollum had a horrible defensive game. He gave up dribble penetration like he wasn't even trying, and it's frustrating for me because I know he can move faster laterally than that. This dude is an underrated athlete. He's quicker than that. I don't know if it's effort, I don't know if it's focus, I don't know what it is, but he was terrible defensively last night, and that cannot happen. But it was the team as a whole, especially on pick and rolls. I don't understand why we guard the pick and roll the same way in every single scenario. Chris Paul was not even looking for a three-point shot. He barely shot yesterday. Yet for some reason we were still chasing him over screens, which would let him get downhill, which meant that Nurkic had to decide between the lob man, which is Capella, which is one of the best lob threats in the league, and between a lethal ball handler, distributor, scorer like Chris Paul or James Harden. When it was James Harden, Nurkic had no chance. James Harden's a different story. You kind of gotta go over screens on him because he's such a lethal three-point shooter, but there's often times where the screen is angled in such a way that it's almost impossible to go over the screen, and you're gonna keep tabs with Harden a lot better if you simply slide under the screen, yet we still chase guys over. Even if we have to run forward 3 steps to get behind Harden, just to get over the screen, we will still do it. And that's because our team is coached that way. We're coached to go over pretty much every screen. That and bad closeouts. We have the worst closeouts in the league. We jump at pretty much every pump fake. We don't stutter our feet. We overcommit. That gives up straight line drives, which we got hurt on. And just simply overshading to one side of the ball handler when they were in triple threat position, especially CJ. Instead of slightly shading to try and take away one side but still be able to recover if he goes the other way, we were shading so far to one side that it was almost a wide open lane. It's just a combination of things that are very, very frustrating, and I will continue to elaborate and talk about in future recaps, because this has been something that's been going on for years and I don't think it'll stop anytime soon. Anyway, we play the Grizzlies tonight. They've been looking good, but it all comes down to how we play, the style of basketball that we play. If we play a proper style of basketball, I think we're better than the Memphis Grizzlies. I think we'll win the game. If we don't, they're the type of veteran team that will take advantage. Not much of a game preview, but I'm limited on time and I'm getting pretty close to that limit. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope we get that win tonight. Peace out, True Blazer fans. Go Blazers.